Alright, these guys should be starting any second.
Yep, we are starting.
I didn't get to see on Kiitoksia's screen, but it looked like it might have been a no instead of an O. Not really a big deal. We're talking a couple frames over the course of the run.
It looked like a no to me as well. I guess we'll find out in the text boxes.
Yeah, so these... it's pretty standard RPG fare, especially for RPGs of this era. Just reducing a name to a single digit will reduce the amount of time that it takes to write it out. But it kind of depends on how many text boxes that person has. So like Chrono, Riley Luca, definitely worth it. Robo, not so much. Ayla, it is only because she refers to herself in the third person a lot. And that's really all we're going to see for this particular category. Battle speed 1, menu change, and memory cursor. Really fast menus from both.
Yeah, and Magus also changed his controls to what most people, I think, use.
Yeah,
So
swap menus.
Swap menus. It's for an upcoming boss skip later on in the run.
Yeah, it's funny. It's one single skip, but it ends up causing most players to swap their controls for the entire run. And it makes sense because you can skip the one menu to swap them back afterwards.
I think Kiitoksia accidentally talked to Marle first before getting the pendant.
Yeah. That might cost a potential guilty, but it's, as far as mistakes go, it's not that big.
I just saw him go up to the pendant and he didn't grab it and talk to Marle.
Nice.
But he gets a candy skip instead.
They both went for it, but Kiitoksia hit it. That's awesome. So it's going to look like Kiitoksia is in the lead here for the first little bit, but it'll all even out in the end. It's a skippable cutscene, but we still have to go through it eventually.
Yeah, you'll get it when you go back down after you rescue Marle, basically. When you escort her home, you still have to see the cutscene there. I think it's still slightly faster.
Yeah, it's 60-ish frames. And it's just based on your positioning. Like, if you trigger the cutscene from the top, it's the same amount of time for Chrono to walk down into position as from the bottom. But if you trigger it on your second way through, you don't have to go all the way around and up through the top exit. You can just hold down and zoom out the bottom.
That's still a free second.
Yep. And with a game that's optimized, every little bit does count.
Yeah, especially in the winners bracket and with these two runners.
Yeah.
You want all the edges you can get.
I think currently right now the edge is on elmagus. He's fresh off of a 148 PB. And I believe Kiitoksia's PB might have been the race from last time.
I mean, you can still PB in a race.
Let's see. I actually have access to this information. Yeah. Yeah, the last race, the 154, was a personal best.
That is still a pretty good time.
Oh, yeah. Sub 150 is really good. Sub 155 is very good. And sub 2 hours, you know what you're doing. And you're just, you know, refining yourself down to like a really good level. Like, you can't just blindly get sub 2. Well, you could if you were just, like, God tier, but you have to put in quite a bit of work, especially with the route. There's a lot of battles that you need to learn. Alright, so we don't want to get hit here by these blue imps. It's like, oh man. Looks like Kiitoksia failed the bird skip.
I thought you meant the bird skip.
Well, now they're synced.
Now they're synced. Which means actually that Magus is ahead.
Yeah.
Because he already watched the cutscene.
Yeah, and the other thing is Kiitoksia is probably going to get a couple extra enemy attacks in the grind fights after the cutscenes here.
So yeah, the reason we don't want to get into that fight is to optimize our grind and the kind of boss fight with the nuggets in the cathedral. It's more like a normal fight though.
Yeah, I've been thinking a lot about this recently, and I mean, it's pretty written in stone. Like, you need the levels not just for the Negaets, it really helps with Dragon Tank and a couple other spots as well. But all of the extra tech points that we're gaining get washed away, essentially. After Specchio, everyone gets reset to the same level. Everyone learns their magic and actually gets their full tech tree progression unlocked. So the leveling here is basically just for Dragon Tank and the Negaets. There's a couple other fights, but most of the spells are going to be able to one-shot things anyway. It's kind of funny, the blue imps that they fought coming out of the portal, they actually have a counterattack, but level 1 Chrono with his weakest weapon will one-shot them, so you never ever get a chance to see it in a casual playthrough.
I actually did not know that.
Yep. They will counterattack you every time that you attack them.
So yeah, right now we have a lot of cutscenes going on, explaining the background, the whole time travel thing. And Luca explains it to us.
So this is essentially Back to the Future time travel mechanics. If you go back in time and you talk to your parents or mess around with any kind of ancestor, you disappear. So it's kind of recommended not to do that, but for the sake of video game, we're going to do that a couple times. So the evil blue imp disrupts the time zone, the timeline. So we're going to see essentially the same fights, but elmaguses are going to be a little bit more refined because he's in the correct RNG window, and he should be able to focus his crits in nice spots to just make these fights go as fast as possible. And you can use overkills or RNG jumps by targeting the same enemy with both players and having the second attack go off after the enemy died from the first one.
So yeah, for these fights we basically have a script. But if you don't have the script, you just try to deal with it as best as you can.
Yeah. My go-to backup, if you fail the bird skip, is just hold X for these two fights, and you'll end up in a window that you can fire whirl 3 of the Negaets.
Yeah, there's backups for basically everything in this game.
Yeah. If you're off script, play the game.
I guess if you mess up the same way multiple times, you kind of know what to expect.
Yeah. Yeah, this game is like strictly deterministic. As long as you enter the battle with the same values and make the same inputs, everything should be the same. There are some exceptions with some tricky bosses that can kind of slip their movement around, but in general, that's true. Alright, so Magus should get a nice pattern here. Fire whirling 3 negads. And it's just slightly faster to fire whirl the 3 left ones instead of the 3 right ones, even though the 3 right ones are default target and you can just mash the attack. But the fire attack for Luca here on the last one is a little bit slower when you're aiming all the way across the room.
Seems that both racers got the same fight.
Yep. And that's great for Kiitoksia, because now he's going to be able to get criticals from Frog in the next fight. Save him a little bit of time.
So now we get to meet Frog, and he joins our party because he also likes to save the royal family, I guess you could say.
Yeah, it's kind of funny we get Frog in our party, but we really just use him for one fight and then that's it until much, much later on.
Well, usually you're supposed to fight Yakro.
Boss fights? What's that? There's no boss fights in this game. I should be seeing a fade out here from elmagus. Good way to sort of talk about the fade out. Oh, I think you missed it. There's a power tab here, and it kind of locks you in place. But if you walk into the door transition and then activate the power tab pickup, you can teleport back to the door. It's really only fast if you get it in the minimum amount of fade outs. But we're going to be seeing a lot of that glitch to skip battles, cutscenes. Also use it in other interesting ways to be able to save where we're not intended to be able to.
Yeah, the fade out glitch is, I think, the most utility of the glitches that we have.
Yeah, Kiitoksia is actually expressing a little bit of surprise about being on the right RNG, but you actually want to be in a slightly later window that getting into the bird fight actually sets up for you. Otherwise, you need to do some trickery in the battles, the overkill, like I was mentioning, in order to get into that further window.
I didn't see if Kiitoksia actually picked up the revive. I know elmagus did.
Yeah, I know elmagus did as well.
It's a nice safety.
Yeah.
And on the mega screen we see the other glitch that we're going to be using, which is the unequip glitch. Basically, unequip the armor for our characters, which makes them resist 3 of the 4 elements, everything except fire, basically, and it also increases their magic damage.
Some nice text canceling from elmagus.
And it's pretty useful throughout the run, because most enemies actually use magical attacks.
Yeah. And a lot of them, they're kind of meant to chip away at your health, but when you have the added defense, they're basically just negligible. The slash attack... Sorry, go ahead.
And we also get to skip Yakra, I wanted to say.
Yeah.
By the way.
Yeah, it's the important thing. All the text skipping and the strange movement going on there, it's not necessary. You basically just need to start the battle with Yakra off screen. That's the main part of the skip.
Yeah, because you're not supposed to walk around during the scene that's placed there. So if you move off the screen when the battle starts, the game thinks you already finished it. Because you can only be at that position after the fight. So you get to skip it.
You have to wonder if a lot of the skips in this game only work because the programmers made the programming a little bit redundant, so it wouldn't just straight up crash when things go wrong.
Might actually be.
Because the fade out glitch, it's so widely usable across the whole game.
And the game still works.
Yeah. There's some top secret lore that the fade out glitch was left in as a developer tool or a playtester tool, but that's not confirmed and strictly rumor. I'm starting it right here.
Starting rumors.
Alright, so Magus heading to the reverse bird skip. It's not too tough of a skip. It's basically the same as the bird skip before, but you're saving and reloading on this screen, which you wouldn't normally be able to save and reload to cause the battle triggers to set up in a way that you can easily skip them. Because normally coming through in that direction, you'd never be able to skip a fight.
And as you can see, Magus has his own setup for that.
Yeah, you got a pretty big window there to hit that. It's 2 or 3 pixels, and if you're used to setting up for like pixel perfect tricks, it's not too difficult to get it set up for. It's a little bit more difficult to hit moving, I'd say.
And the trick also has some nice setups. Like you can walk into the bird or use Chrono's bandana as a visual cue. There's different ways to do it.
Yeah, the quicker it is, the better though. Just doing it like relatively quickly saves about 3 to 4 seconds over getting in the fight and running away. Alright, so Candy Free's the way to be. Magus not having to stop for Candy because he decided to do that earlier.
Well, he decided or the game decided. We don't know. Because he tried.
Yeah, and on Kiitoksia's side, it happens first frame. There is no chance to skip this. Alright, so we're on to the trial. We'll get a chance to see if Kiitoksia gets the guilty RNG, but still ends up not guilty from talking to Marley before the pendant. But
Yeah, I
Magus...
believe it's the last of the jurors that votes not guilty if you pick up the if you talk to Marley before picking up the pendant.
So we have the ultimate sweat, is what you're saying.
We have to wait until the last one.
Alright, so really the only thing that we need to do is match the text here as quickly as possible while closely paying attention and making two different choices. Both of them are the second option.
Yeah, and second options makes it more interesting to mash.
Yeah.
You actually have to pay attention.
And it almost always happens right after the Chancellor starts moving, so you can use that as a cue.
On the first one, it's the first text box that he actually asks you, and you have to switch. And second one, he talks about ransom before, and then the next text box you get to choose. That's how I remember it.
So Ace Attorney Pierre is trying pretty hard to get not guilty for us. But ultimately we do want a guilty verdict. It saves about 6 to 8 seconds on text.
He's trying his best, but Chrono's like, yeah, I actually wanted that money.
Never lucky.
Never lucky.
So elmagus' second juror chose not guilty, and the way that we've played the game up to this point, we'll get 3 not guilty, 3 guilty, and the second juror is basically random. If you want to get to the nitty-gritty, his choice is determined when you come back from the Chrono running into Marley flashback. Alright, keeping things fair. Strictly gameplay up to this point.
And Kiitoksia also gets not guilty. I mean, we knew that before, but the second one was also not guilty.
So the next big point of randomness is the guards coming up for elmagus and Kiitoksia in the prison escape. These guys you have to get past without getting into a battle, and they control you pretty hard.
I think I need to actually correct my statement from earlier. It was not the last juror. Last one actually said guilty. I mean for Kiitoksia, because he talked to Ma before picking up the pendant. Don't want to spread misinformation here.
Just rumors.
Just rumors.
Alright. elmagus is going to shake it off and hope for a 60 on the damage roll.
But first, grab some coffee.
Mm-hmm.
And he's not saving, so he must be confident on his load.
Yeah, one thing we didn't really touch on was the reload during the reverse bird skip a couple minutes ago. elmagus loaded in a slightly later than mash window, and it's going to ensure a high damage roll on this guy. Because with the weapons and the power tabs and the accessories, everything that we've collected, it's just enough to one-hit KO this guy. It's exact damage. Quick shields.
And one slightly longer fade-out glitch to the middle of the bridge.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we would get in a pincer attack that you can't run from.
Yeah, it's still faster to fight these guys than it is to fade out the bridge if you look at it from a very micro level. But in the big picture, it's actually faster to fade out these guards instead.
Yeah, because manipulated Ooh.
Oh,
The
never
manipulated
mind.
dragon tank fight is actually faster than the backup.
So there goes that crit that was meant for the dragon tank. I don't know if Elmagus has practice with the scripted backup. We might just be seeing a YOLO backup.
Also, Kiitoksia got the 60 as well on the first card.
All right, another Fado glitch. Nice one fade.
Yeah, so one theme you might catch is we fade out every enemy that we can't skip by running around them. So if we can avoid them by running in a certain way, we try to do that. Otherwise, we either run into them if we can escape, or just fade out, glitch them away.
Yeah, and it kind of depends how far away from the entrance it is on whether you want to fade out or fight and run away.
Yeah, that as well, because you kind of need a transition.
Yeah, like the Weevil fights, for example, in Hecarim Cave, you can fade them out, but it's just quicker to get in the fight and run away.
And I believe Kiitoksia is still good.
Yeah. Smooth sailing. Elmagus is going to have a fight that's upwards of about 30 seconds longer from the extra healing that's going to happen.
Looks kind of like a scripted backup. Not sure.
Yeah.
But he still has to heal. So basically, Magus is doing what you might have done in casual playthroughs. Kill the gears first, and the body. And then you go for the head. While Kiitoksia is exclusively going for the head first with all the crits he's going to get.
Yeah, it's actually super tight to be able to kill the head first, because the heals are something that very quickly get on top of you. You lose a lot of time otherwise. Omega's still ahead by a little bit. That fight went really well for him.
Yeah, but I believe Kiitoksia caught up, sorry. Bad English.
Yeah, and Omegas is still going to be losing some time, so I'd say overall they're probably on par right now. Yeah, I'm actually excited to see what's going to happen here. We've got a Lab 16, which can be, you know, apart from a perfect one, if you miss a couple rat cycles, you're going to lose about 6 to 8 seconds. There's the 5 slime fight RNG coming up pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's a big one, I guess.
But right now, Kiitoksia has the edge on the next 2 fights because he's got criticals.
So yeah, what happens where we break out of prison, we grab Mal and go to the future.
Yeah, the future will decide the future.
Like the real short version of what's happening.
But before we go anywhere, we need the obligatory what face from the Chancellor. So one thing this category is missing is the Gikigaya what face. There it is.
There it is.
Alright. So not too much text. They're just like, yeah, we're the future. Let's see what's up.
Yeah.
So in the next section, there's some fights. In fact, there's a lot of fights that we're going to be skipping all of. And some of them, we can take a long way around, or we can use the text box from the rats stealing from us to walk over the fights and prevent the game from even being able to trigger them.
Usually if you walk that way, you will get into a fight. But
Nice
since the
rat
text
cycle.
box is up, you won't. Other than that, we are just running around the fight triggers. And into Ares Dome.
Yeah, lots of stairs here in the Ares Dome. And a lot of the, I guess you call it platforming later on, where you're going to be trying to skip fights and get through screens as fast as possible. A lot of it relies on how you're moving on the stairs, how quickly you're able to move, because if you move with diagonals, you actually don't press up against any walls. But if you just hold left or up, base cardinal directions, you'll actually be grinding along the side of the wall, and it slows you down quite a bit. Right, Magus having the advantage of the swap controls.
Yep. He's coming up on the boss skip here, the Guardian skip, which is the reason we change controls. Because if you press the X button on that screen where the boss is supposed to be, you get into a fight. But if you swap around your menu button, which is normally X, you don't trigger the fight. That basically allows us to skip it. We also change accessories and weapons on our characters. Most notably is the Berserker on Marley.
There's the rat. Yeah, Omega's definitely having to take the bottom cycle there. He did a little bit too much grinding on that first staircase.
I believe he has a visual cue on when he can go for it or not.
Oh, nice.
So he knows beforehand if it's actually feasible to go for it or not. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, and a lot of that is thanks to the practice ROM. When paired with a flash cart, you're actually able to do a bunch of tight platforming practice on hardware. So basically, you're able to practice on what you'd be doing runs on. Or sometimes there's a trick that you want to practice, but practicing it on emulator is going to give you a slightly different feel than playing on actual console.
Oh, and we also skipped the first part of the cutscene there. Which saves, I believe, about a minute.
Yeah, it's like a minute and a half. If you forget that fade out, you'll definitely be feeling pretty bad.
Also, if you forget to go back in.
That too.
You still have to watch the second part, is what I'm getting at. So now we basically learned that this is our future. We found a seed. We found a refrigerator room back there with the note and the rat, and everything was not good except for one seed. And we exchanged that seed for a bike key, right?
Yep. It's like Zelda missions.
Fetch quests.
Yep. Whenever I think of fetch quest, I always think of the Link's Awakening one, where it's like a chain of like 30 different things. Alright, Johnny Race coming up. I'm interested to see how he's going to approach it.
My guess would be he will try to bounce in front of him as much as he can.
Yeah, I know last race he actually took it kind of safe. Losing here is a pretty big thing. Nope, he's going for it. Yeah, so most of the bounces on Johnny add up. It basically keeps you ahead of him, and the race is able to finish a little bit sooner. If you were to bounce on the back of him the whole race, it'd be very, very slow. But it's one of those things, as long as you use your boost and don't boost into the back of Johnny with like 30 left in the race, you should be okay. I mean, I guess not even going for the boost.
Yeah, but he was still playing it safe at the end by bouncing behind him.
Alright, so it looks like there's just shy of a minute separating our racers. So we have a red Marley and still getting some crits. I think the backup for one fight was scripted out a little bit in the notes.
So yeah, after that fight you have to walk across the higher platform, otherwise you trigger the fight there. And you don't want to do that at all. And we get to meet Robo. Or whatever you want to name him. I mean, you don't have to rename him. You can just keep him as Robo if you want to.
Yeah, renaming him really doesn't save much time at all.
As we see there on the Magus screen.
Alright. Yeah, just a little bit of a decision here, whether you're going to bring Luca or Marley. We bring Luca because it's the default choice. Although it really doesn't matter too much.
And one person has to stay behind conveniently, because we switch on the power and the door opens, but it won't stay open for long. And someone has to press buttons.
Yeah, Chrono getting attacked there is a little rough.
So yeah, Magus probably has to shelter.
Yeah, definitely has to shelter. Might be seeing Kiitoksia do that outside. Yeah. Setting Cyclone memory for the boss fight. It's not necessary, but it's something you can do.
And you see the runaway from enemies there. You just hold the run buttons and go into a menu if you want to or need to. And just wait until it accumulates enough so that you actually trigger the runaway.
See, not the best slime pattern here.
Yeah, it all depends on damage rolls now.
Yeah, get ready to see just a bunch of crappy damage rolls on the acids. They're just so hard to kill. If you had like 3 or 4 more levels, you'd be doing quite a bit more damage, but since we have skipped pretty much everything, these guys are a bit of a pain. Yeah, these guys are in the same fight now. Oh, and the exact opposite pattern. That's pretty awesome. Will this kill? Yes, it will. And are we gonna see Kiitoksia pull ahead?
We actually might.
These damage rolls for Magus are just so bad.
I think he actually might be ahead, yeah.
Even getting 2s from Luca.
Not quite. But he caught up a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, there was like almost 45 seconds difference, and now there's like 5. Kiitoksia still has to use his healing menu, so he's a tiny bit behind Magus, but... so that was the Zabby password. Fun fact, you can actually just hold the X, Y, A, and B button all at the same time, and it'll input the password properly for you.
Yeah. And it also doesn't matter what your remapped controls are. You can just hold them. It works.
Yeah, this is about on par with when Audivino closed a bit of a gap with me with a really good slime fight. Yeah, holy smokes. I guess it's going to come down to who gets their cyclones in quickly. I'm voting both do.
I think Kiitoksia didn't heal, though.
Oh, but he didn't get attacked much either. I don't think he even needs it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's his call, definitely. I'm not saying he forgot, but he just didn't. So he probably thinks he's fine.
Alright, so this fight, it's not too difficult, but it is difficult at the same time. As long as you get your first input in quickly, Chrono's going to get his second and third turn off before the back row will get their second turn off. But if you're even just a little bit slow on this first cyclone, the back row is going to get 2 sets of turns, and their attacks hit hard, and they're pretty long animations.
Yeah, and you don't have a lot of HP to work with.
Elmagus a little bit quicker, just judging by the ATB on Luca's side, but both got them off before getting attacked. So 1 to the top, 1 to the bottom, then 1 to the bottom and 1 to the top. Alright, keeping things pretty even. Looks like Magus was trying not to use the mid-tonic, or maybe waiting a little bit.
He probably wanted to buffer it, so he gets his cyclone.
So we've got some interesting stuff going on here. Both players have sort of messed up a little bit. Uh-oh. This is not looking good for Kiitoksia. Things are looking really tight for elmagus, but he looks like he's pulled through. Okay. I'm really worried here. You gotta... Okay. I'm not sure what the right play is here. I'm... Okay, seems okay.
Yeah, he has enough MP for 2 cyclones, so I think that was the right goal.
Yeah, gonna just have to leave Luca down. That's gonna leave her shy on levels, but surviving, most importantly, here. Yeah, that's 3 levels that Luca doesn't get, and that is gonna matter. I'm not sure what that means in the long run, but it definitely means that the next big boss fight, which is Masamune, is going to be interesting, to say the least. Unless Kiitoksia maybe finds a place to fight an extra battle. But that's a lot of experience missing on it.
I guess he has to improvise now, kind of.
Yeah. This is definitely a good opportunity to use the safety shop before Masamune. At the very least, you can unequip 1 piece of armor off of Chrono and Robo and give them protection from the air elemental attacks that Masamune does in his counter phase. And maybe pick up some mid-tonics and revives. Because that whole script is kind of reliant on doing enough damage, and you just barely do enough damage to push a cycle. Alright, elmagus is on to Specchio. Everyone in chat really needs to think magic for us.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
And if you can walk in a circle around your room. Or I guess you could also walk in a square. Doesn't matter. It just has to be clockwise.
that is very true. It feels really awkward walking around that room counterclockwise too.
So you might have noticed Magus did not run along the walls all the time. He just tried to hit the triggers on certain spots in the room.
Yeah, there's 5 triggers altogether, 1 in each of the corners and 1 by the door. Again, the practice hack helps you visualize that by actually putting sprites on the triggers. Alright, so we're gonna see Cake and Dash, which uses a trick which is only really used in a couple spots in the run. So I think he's gonna still get the text. No, he got it. So by swapping characters after the game is frozen you're actually able to regain control and move out of the room. It's a minor save, but it does save time for sure.
Yeah, you get to save the text boxes.
Alright, Magus taking advantage of one of the last times that we're going to get a chance to set Luca to attack, which is going to matter later on coming up.
Most of the fights here we just run away from. There's one where we use a fade out because it's close to a screen transition.
Yeah, even that one I think might almost be faster to run away from if it wasn't for the animation of the rollies like rolling into the room and moving into position, and like that's a pretty big pre-roll to the battle for that one specifically. And that's the one that Magus is just about to fade out here.
And we swap Marla out of the party and Robo in. I believe it's to cut down on the text boxes we get after hack and skip.
Yeah, that's something I never really noticed. That makes sense though.
I think Marla actually has more text boxes. I'm not 100% sure though.
I guess looks like he's gonna hit it on the second try. Yeah, nicely done. Similar to the Yakra skip where you're saving over the trigger and then you're able to regain control. But this one's a lot tighter. A lot tighter. You got like a 4 or a 6 frame window in the Yakra skip, and this one's only 2. There's another setup which can give you 3. Kiitoksia missing the bat skip there. Not the end of the world. RNG's not really a worry right now, because we're going to be saving and reloading here pretty soon. Alright, Elmagus is coming up on one of the hard tricks. We're going to see the 3-frame setup for Kiitoksia. But Elmagus is coming up on the end of time save anywhere. This is another instance where we're going to be swapping party members to regain control. And kind of similar to the fade out glitch where we stand on a save point as we're transitioning off a screen. We're going to use what's called pillar storage, where we actually have the teleport action stored behind the old man's text. and based on when we unpause and press the A button at the same time, we should be able to get the right frame, swap frame members, regain control, and get that save anywhere. Very nice.
Some nice pause buffer there.
Pause buffers cost a little bit of time, but they give you 100% consistency on the trick. If you were to just do like random A presses, you have about 75% chance to hit it, which isn't bad, but 100% is really nice. You don't want to lose your run almost an hour in.
And it's always nice to have consistency in races, especially.
Yes.
Because if he didn't get it, he would have to get the save anywhere from the cathedral, and that costs a lot of time.
I am a robot, Yurizo.
The secret is out.
It's a rumor.
He was trying to sound human all the time.
Let's see. Kiitoksia going for it as well. Looks like he was just going for the double tap and missed the 75% chance. That's pretty unfortunate. So it's going to cost about 30-40 seconds.
I guess he probably knew that he was behind and tried to catch up.
Mm-hmm. Alright, so Elmagus is going to be using his acquired save anywhere to skip the next boss, the Zombor fight. Kiitoksia is going to have to go get save anywhere from the cathedral. Just a little bit out of the way, but end of time was better. Magus, did he hit the backup? I wasn't sure there. It's kind of a YOLO backup. No, just barely missed it. That looks good, though. So that's another very tight battle skip. You really only have a couple frames to open up your menu, and you need to let go of the run button for just a couple frames in order to get yourself in a position to get past the frame rule of when the event actually starts.
And another boss skipped. This game is easy, right?
Yeah. Pretty solid from Elmagus. Took him a little bit for the first skip, but the second one was nice and smooth. It looks like Elmagus's menu was... His items aren't exactly where he's expecting them to be.
Yeah, probably because he picked up some safety items.
Yeah. It's another area of this game where you can save a whole bunch of time is in your menuing and confidence in your item route. There's actually an instance where we pick up a shelter later on than one that would be slightly quicker to pick up because it puts it in the item menu in a really nice spot where you're actually able to access it quicker than any other spot. Other than the first spot, I guess.
You might actually be wondering why Magus didn't run away from that fight with the menu. The reason is he wants to set up his values so that he gets the crits when he wants them for Mass Immune and also gets the outcome he wants to. Because right now we have Chrono with the Berserker. That means we can't control him.
Yeah, you need to be able to cast Chrono's slash attack if Masamune goes into his storage in order to break him out of that phase. Otherwise, he builds up to an attack where, without the unequipped glitch, is essentially a one-shot at the levels that we're at.
Robo can actually survive that. Because he has quite a bit more HP. I mean, if he's full HP, he can survive that.
Alright, so I'm still a little worried about Kiitoksia being underleveled for this part. And I don't think we saw a safety shop either. Chrono gets hammered.
Yeah, I think his load was off because Chrono's not supposed to crit there, I think.
Yeah, there's one window that can be a crit, but...
No, I mean when he attacks the second time. This crit is fine.
Yeah. So yeah, we're seeing Elmagus take down the first form of the Mesominifite. It's not too tough of a fight as long as you make your inputs into, like, on time. Chrono being berserked, he's going to attack a quote-unquote random enemy. But if you know the value at the beginning of the fight, you know who he's going to attack as long as you make the right inputs.
And we want him to attack Masa instead of Muna because Muna will counterattack.
Yeah.
It also sets up everything for the combined fight right here. Which is scripted, of course.
Alright, so Lucas' first fire hits for 204. I'm interested to see what Lucas' fire is going to hit for on Kiitoksia's side.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be interesting. What we try to do here is basically keep Masamune walking around, attacking, and not store his energy.
Yeah, storing his energy is pretty nice with the unequipped glitch because his attacks are going to hit you, but unfortunately, only Luca is unequipped right now.
I actually like to unequip Chrono as well for safety.
Yeah, that's an option with hopping into that shop a little bit earlier. I think for races, it's a valid insurance policy because it only costs you a little bit of time. It's a shop trip that you'd have to make anyway. You're just kind of splitting it up into two shops.
And it makes the fight way easier if you mess up somewhere.
Yeah.
Which is pretty easy to do.
Yeah, only 181 on that attack. I have a feeling there's going to be an extra attack in this cycle too. Is this enough to kill? No, it's not. Yeah, that's the moment of realization when things are not on script for the next fight. He was only about 7 or 8 damage shy of killing the twins.
Let's see here why the fire hits.
Yeah,
186.
It's like 15, 18 lower. So that's going to add up over the course of the fight. Yeah, this is one of those situations where you really need to hope Did Kiitoksia pick up a safety revive at some point? Or was that wasn't used on our series?
I believe not. I know he skipped the first one in the cathedral. I don't know if he picked up anything after that. But you said he wasn't shopping, so I think not.
Yeah, the big thing that Kiitoksia has to watch out for here is Robo having enough health to survive the counter phase. Chrono's going to die, but Robo's going to get hit for about 165 to 175. And yeah, you can tell the difference here. Chrono's getting hit for like 50, and Luca's getting hit for only about 6 or 7, and that's just because of the unequipped glitch.
And Chrono also gets counterattacked every time he attacks.
Yeah. I hope we can get a chance to heal Chrono here before the attack, but... Alright, this is really scary. So this Yes Indeed is going to do a lot of damage. Yeah. Chrono crit. Robo dying there is the worst thing ever. I don't see any... Heal's not going to do anything. This looks bad. That was 2 attacks, though, so...
Safety shopping.
Yeah, he might be able to actually tank this out if he's able to just get enough attacks in before Mesmina gets another attack off. I believe in you.
But then you are still missing levels on Chrono and Robo, aren't you?
Yeah. Yeah, this is not a good situation overall. There it is.
Yeah.
Shoot.
So he has to redo the fight.
Yeah. And the worst part is the last save was at the beginning of Denadora Mountains too. That was really close, though. I think it was maybe one more fire away from getting it.
I think he might actually not continue because he thinks he's too far behind.
Yeah, it's definitely a bit of a demonstration on the tightrope walk that some of these scripts can be. It's a pretty big trade-off on wanting to go fast and some level of consistency. But for this situation, it was really just being under-leveled. There's not much you can do. This is how tight these scripts are. If you're one level shy, oftentimes you don't do enough damage.
Focused quite a bit on Kiitoksia, so let's focus back on Magus.
Yes, for sure.
He got the hero medal, gave it to Frog, picked up the broken Mesommune, talked to Melchior, or better said, faded out Melchior. And now he's back to the past.
So we're probably going to see double slash here. Oh. Slash and flame toss. So Luca dying here, that might actually sort of cause a similar issue for elmagus coming up on Nizbel, because she was supposed to gain a level or 2 in this fight. Luca just refusing to grow up here.
Luca, please. Luca does not like to cooperate today.
Alright, so some of you might be wondering why we're not using Robo for these fights. A laser spin would one-shot all of these guys. Unfortunately, the cutscene afterwards with Robo in it is a lot longer, and that's the reason why we avoid it.
So yeah, Kiitoksia forfeited the race. So it's just Magus now. We want to swap Robo in for Marl. Marla likes to party too hard for our tastes.
Yeah, she's a big dancer.
She likes to dance a lot. What you have to do here, basically, you talk to Robo, he walks around a bit. Once he stands still, you talk to him again, talk to Ayla, and the scene progresses. And you get to drink soup. Lots of soup.
Yeah, some sort of prehistoric alcoholic soup, I believe. I mean, maybe if more soups had alcohol, I'd like soup more. Big thing here is you just need to mash for 8 bowls, and then afterwards it doesn't really matter.
Yep. And you actually do have to mash the A button, no matter what your controls are. If you change them, that is. Still mash the A button. I just noticed that the first time I did that, because I swap around the X and A button.
Right, yeah.
I was mashing the X button and nothing was happening.
Yeah, there's a couple spots where rebonded controls have no effect on the game.
Yeah, I know the Johnny Race is one. And definitely the soup eating.
Yeah, for anyone just coming in, Kiitoksia clutched a really awesome fight against our series, but unfortunately was short on experience for the next major boss fight and wasn't able to beat it. Nice fade out from Magus. This is a really tough one to get optimally. There's a lot of corners that you can get stuck on.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fights that we skip by running around them. Mostly where the prints are, there's most likely a fight. Not always though, but most of the time. Very nice section there.
Alright. So this first fight here, we're looking for a 34 hit on Chrono. That's going to let us know that we're in the right window for not only this fight, but the next fight, and the boss fight coming up as well.
But you said he might be off on damage with Luca?
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly, but I'm pretty sure Luca is shy a level, and that almost certainly takes the one cycle off the table, unless he goes for older strats where he just mashes as fast as possible.
Kiitoksia actually did not have to start from the beginning, but his Luca would still have been off like a couple of levels. So
Yeah.
the Masamune fight would still be pretty hard to do.
Well, there's always the option of just not equipping the Berserker.
Yeah, true. Or unequipping some characters.
Yeah, without the safety shop, you'd have to put some equipment onto Luca in order to take it off of someone else.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because yeah, you still have armor. That's correct. And
yeah, neither player finished.
Nisbel.
It would be a double forfeit. I'm not sure what we do in that situation.
I don't actually have the damage rolls that you need here. So I don't know if he's off or not. You would probably know better than me anyways.
Fire's doing 228. Yeah, I think it's supposed to be like 240 something. I'd say there's a good chance that there's going to be one extra lightning release cycle. It's not the end of the world, it's just a little extra time. Yeah.
Still gets crits where they're supposed to be though. So that's good.
Yeah, Ayla's definitely doing her part. Just don't think Luca's quite there. Because this is where Chrono mashes the last attack. If he dies here, I'll be surprised. Oh, okay. Okay.
So you are surprised.
Color me surprised. Okay, that somehow worked out. I guess maybe Luca was just shy of leveling after that fight. But this is the last time that we're really going to be using her.
Oh, hang on. I think I actually remember the guys in the Discord talking about this. And they mentioned that Luca dying in that Reptiles fight does not matter for Nisbel.
Nice.
Just remember that. Memory is weird, I know.
And I don't want to sound too dire. Most of these fights aren't quite as scary as the Masamune fight to mess up. Like that fight, for instance, if you were to mess it up, it's just an extra cycle. You're not actually gonna die. You're just losing time.
Yeah, the only bad part is you have to probably back upload somewhere.
Oh yeah, you'd have to back upload just before Magus's castle. But I think you can always just like wait and see. Hope you get the 19.
Yeah. So even completely off script, Nisbel is not very scary if you keep him in the shocked state. Because your characters are actually unequipped. I think we missed talking about that. But after the Masamune fight, you actually unequip all the characters that you use. Do some extra shopping, buying revives, shelters, and meat eaters.
So another fade out into the basement this time. Making sure to take Robo out of the party.
Yep.
If Robo was in the party, he'd be doing a bunch of animations and it would slow down this cutscene by quite a bit.
And you see Magus running into Melchior. That sometimes speeds up the animations.
Yeah, it's kind of weird whether it works or not. Like when he's moving around, it's kind of iffy whether it actually speeds him up. But when he's standing there nodding his head, it really does. Kind of the same thing with running into Yakra during the Yakra skip, kind of speeds him up a little bit.
And we actually get Robo back into our party.
Somehow.
Maybe it's Luca in disguise? I don't know.
The last time Luca fixed Robo, she kind of disappeared.
Just more rumors, I guess.
So Elmagus making his way to the frog cutscene.
All the cutscenes.
But first, there's the most important bird skip of the run.
Nailed it.
Because the window that the end of Nizbel is the perfect window for entering Magus's castle.
So, oh, a new. Nice.
Yeah, that was
awesome.
awesome.
That's the first one?
I think so. I think there was. Well, actually, yeah, Kiitoksia never even got a chance to see news.
Well, now that we have the Masamune, we bring it to Frog, and he gets some flashbacks. And we have to match all the text here.
That was a good time just to throw some shout outs. Big thanks to Speed Gaming for hosting the tournament and taking care of all the restreams. And today specifically, big shout outs to Mr. Broadstone, running all of the tech in the background, making sure everything's nice for you. He played around with a little bit of the sound earlier to get it all fixed up, and everything seems a-okay on the ball. Yeah, and also thanks to V-Man for co-commentating here as well. This tournament's been a lot of fun so far, and there's still a bunch of winners bracket matches and a whole half of the elimination bracket left to go.
I'm actually having fun commentating. I just wish more races weren't at this time frame and not later, because I'm German, so for me it's pretty late in the evening already. Same for elmagus, and he's racing, so I can't complain too much. Also make sure to follow the racers if you haven't already.
You got the command there. Luckily, both these racers, their Twitch accounts are twitch.tv/ their names here. So make sure and give them a follow. So yeah, Cyrus is dead. Cyrus is gone. Magus is evil for killing him. Although, to be fair, Cyrus was trying to kill Magus first.
Also, rip Nirvana Strike. He never taught it to anyone.
Alright, so a little bit of control here after the first half of the cutscene. We're going to swap Robo into our party, and this will be our final party for the rest of the run.
Are you sure about that?
No, I'm not sure.
We like to swap around a bit in Magus Castle still.
Yeah, I knew that too. It's a bit of memory from the last tournament when it was all Robo throughout the Magus' castle.
Yeah, I actually remember that.
And that was actually one of the interesting pinch points. Was there was a fight with Robo with the 4 jugglers, which was really tight. And if you got attacked once by the jugglers, then you had to reload for the Magus fight.
So the game is really nice. Gives you control after the cutscenes, makes you choose your party members, take a few steps, and then it's like, ha, more cutscenes.
Good thing I did all that menuing.
Also, Glenn is a marshmallow.
Time for some s'mores. These guys are just hanging out on Graham Cracker Bridge.
But didn't Glenn get the fire from Magus as well? So he would be a burnt marshmallow now, right?
Oh.
I mean, those scenes are before that, I think, but right now in his frog form, he could be considered a burnt marshmallow.
That's some lore right there. I like that lore.
Just thinking out loud here.
I always thought it was funny. Frog's passed out sprite is just there with the tongue sticking out and everything. I always thought it was kind of silly.
I actually like the way Frog speaks.
Yeah, I was a little sad to see that that got changed in the later releases.
I think it actually fits him quite a lot. Forthwith I shall slay Magus.
Alright, so Mountain Down. Ultimate cutscene to end all cutscenes.
Yeah, I've heard in the remakes they added some nice animations in here. For the cutscenes.
And the speedrun begins right away.
Yep.
Buffer your movements. Get into this fight as quick as possible. Because if you don't get into this fight quickly, you actually have to wait a cycle on the next fight skip.
Yeah, because the bats will move into the way then, and you can't run past them. And right now you can.
It's funny, the text is so quick on the Japanese version that you can make it past those bats. And the cycle's just so free. There's not even anything to worry about.
Well, for the Japanese version you have to worry about other things, right?
It's true. You need to worry about not being able to do enough damage. Alright, so in Magus' castle, basically just running up both sides in order to actually progress the story, starting with a fight.
And you sorry, and you also get to see the stairs here in the first screen. You don't actually have to walk diagonally. I think those are the first ones. You don't have to do that.
Yeah, they're pretty wide. no respect for the ghosts, just running right through them.
Well, you can still do that now. Just have to pay attention later.
Yeah. A little more solid after this fight. Alright, so this fight is pretty straightforward. Robo's menu takes forever to come up.
It does. And you want to see a 46 on fork. If you didn't reload, at least. If you reloaded, 45 is fine as well.
Yeah. There's some slight variance on the starting numbers, but luckily the flea fight, the one that's direly in need of manipulation, isn't until 3 fights in, so you're pretty good. Slick menu. It's actually kind of a tough menu to get quickly.
I believe Magus only got hit by 1 red, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he doesn't have to heal.
So normally this MP Buster attack is pretty rough heading into the flea fight. It's just an interesting dynamic of taking away all the MP of one of your characters, putting some pressure on you when you probably aren't even really thinking about MP recovery that much. But we don't really need it. Frog's berserked and he's going to be doing all the work.
Yep. His speed is set up, I think, the same as Flea's, but with the Berserker he takes precedence in his attacks, except for the first one.
Yeah, as long as Flea doesn't go into a wander phase, he's not really going to be doing any attacks. And the Berserker attacks just in the nick of time to cause Flea to not really change their actions. He's just going to stand there and laugh. Ha ha. Ha ha.
Yep. And we get to watch Frog crit like a champion.
Can we start calling this the Zidane fight?
Zidane fight.
Or no, not Zidane. That guy who laughs in Final Fantasy X.
I think you mean Titus.
Titus, that's the one. Wrong Final Fantasy.
Wrong Final Fantasy. Close though. Only one off. I mean, we could. We want to though. So yeah, after some time it doesn't work anymore, as Drunken Draconian said. So we have to take action to finish the fight.
Last couple 100 points, just to make sure there's no counterattacks. This counterattack hits pretty hard, and it'll also throw off RNG for the next fight.
Some more enemy avoiding, picking up the Meteasa along the way.
It's funny, the Omnicrones are the only thing that can actually start a fight there. If you run into any of the skeletons, they're not going to actually start a battle.
Oh, that's actually nice to know. I always try to avoid the carpet.
Bit of a tight input, not super difficult, but you need to complete this fight with the least amount of moves in order to set up a really, really awesome crit string for the next couple fights.
So, Slush.
Alright, so this fight used to be a lot scarier, but now it's pretty straightforward. Ultimately, what we're doing is we're just increasing the amount of crits that Frog gets. So we're going to be using attacks or techs from Chrono and Robo, unless there's an attack which won't be a crit for Frog, and then we're kind of shooting the blanks that would have not been a crit for Frog so that he can get up to his crits sooner, because everyone uses the same crit string, and it just goes to the next value.
I think Frog has like 2 attacks where he doesn't crit in this fight.
Yeah, and they're right at the very end.
I think the first one is also not a crit. Yeah, but other than that, all his attacks are crits. So we just try to maximize the damage.
Yeah, the worst thing to do in this fight is to attack when you're not supposed to, because that's going to mean that Frog has his crits stolen by one of the other characters. And his crits do twice as much damage as the other character's crits. Or just attacks in general, really.
And Magus actually sets up the mid potion at the end of the fight there. Mid-tonic, sorry.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. While your tech cursor memory will always remember the last tech you used, the item cursor memory is actually the same item cursor memory across all your party members. So depending on if you've got a little bit of free time in your fight, you can set your item cursor memory on one player for the use on another player's turn when it comes up. It only comes up like once in this particular category and a couple times in full game runs.
And we try to basically do the same thing in the second phase that we did in the first one. Maximize Frog's crits.
400 damage per attack is pretty insane. Especially where these enemies only have like 2,500 to 4,500. I think second slash has 6 or 7? I can't remember anymore.
I don't know exactly. I have heard how much he has, but I can't remember. Berserker is a pretty nice accessory.
Yeah. When you're very under-leveled, anything that's going to give you a 1.5 damage multiplier is pretty awesome. And being able to bend the crits to our will really helps out. Alright, attack on Chrono. Supposed to be healing. Oh wait, no, that was the end, sorry.
No, he was already done. He already got the counterattacks.
Alright, that was a textbook slash fight. Gonna pick up the slasher. +2 speed. Early in the game, Chrono's only level 13 and he's 1 speed away from max.
Also magic scarf, because Chrono will mostly use techs. And Frog gets a hero medal, because we don't need him berserked anymore. But I've heard rumors of some berserk Magus strats.
Yeah, there's one with Luca and one with Robo. They're fine for this category, but for a full game run, they don't line up with the script, so you have to save and reload. And even though they might be like a couple seconds faster, because you have to reload to get on the right window for Black Chrono, they end up being slower in the end. There's been a little bit of work to see if you can carry the extended RNG post-Magus fight, but it involves skipping one of the volcano fights, and you need to find that tech point, those tech points elsewhere. I've been trying to push for a battle with one of the news in Frog's Forest, but no one seems to be biting.
Always the news.
Because if you can get spin cut before the Magus fight and use a Berserk on Frog, it's something that I actually checked out. And the way that the Berserk works, nice guillotines. The way the Berserk works is it kind of, every time it chooses who it attacks, it calls on the RNG value, so it kind of jumps the RNG forward more than it should. And the values that it jumps to actually have a pretty high chance of being a fire barrier. So a Berserk Frog with Luca isn't a bad strategy.
Very nice trap room.
Yeah, that was super fast.
The practice ROM actually, the practice hack actually helps a lot with the trap room as well.
Are you going to be seeing a rolly push? No. Just missed it. That was a little tight. Oh man.
I mean, he nailed it. Still a nice outward section.
Was that a pause to check the scripts?
I believe it is, yes.
This is one of those things where as you're making your way through Magus's castle, if everything goes perfectly, you can skip sheltering and save another little bit of time heading into the last fight.
So yeah, the first fight in here you have to actually fight out. Second one you can run away from.
Yeah, very consistent coding here.
I don't believe anyone knows why. It just is.
It's weird because the lava spawns on Mount Woe. The middle one of the three you can run away from as well. So maybe it was the same programmer. Maybe it's some lore that we're supposed to figure out.
Maybe he didn't like the number 2.
Alright, so we should be seeing an X strike here. And this is the last fight before Ozzy and Magus. Pretty solid castle.
I think he's off though. I'm not 100% sure, but usually you try to overkill with the last fire, don't you?
Yeah, I don't think that matters for your actual RNG window. It's just trying to eliminate getting the crit on the first switch, because the animation time is longer for that.
Okay. Always good to learn something new. Zerg everything strat. Maybe one day.
Yeah, so this is probably a crit. Yeah. And the animation is just a tiny bit longer than a regular attack.
Oh, I see. So the overkill that you have to do is to get rid of the crit.
Yeah, that's the only real reason for it. And it just goes to show that the jump that you get from the overkill isn't going to push you into another window. So you've got quite a lot of room to actually play with in that last fight.
Is he going to save though?
I'm not sure. Nope. Swapping a Robo in. Just gonna tonic up just to be sure. Yeah, I'm not sure if he can actually get the sub 150 here. It'll be close.
I actually don't know how long the Magus fight takes. It just is a long fight. That's all I know. Even the script is very long.
Yeah, the only part that the script is really important for is the barrier phase. Afterwards, you can basically just mash your attacks. Because it's funny, you can actually you can attack so quickly that you actually end in an earlier window for a completed run. But where we're just going to Magus here, if you wanted to, you could mash all your attacks at the end.
Yeah, I usually mess up somewhere after the barriers. Because there's some waiting you have to do, and I always get confused where I have to wait and where I don't.
Alright, yeah, so we only have access to 2 types of magic. We never went and taught Frog any magic. So the manipulation here is very important as to avoid water barriers or even worse, fire barriers. Because the unequipped glitch does not give us any protection to the fire barrier. And it's pretty close to a one-shot.
Fire hurts a lot. Not recommended to get fire barriers. But yeah, Chrono knows lightning, and Robo and Chrono together know shadow. And Frog serves basically as a debuffer. He decreases the magic defense of Magus.
This is the last barrier. Should be just hitting him with a couple slashes. Yeah, making sure to pop out of Robo's menu there to allow Frog's attack to go off. You really don't want to be holding the game up at all while you're doing any kind of menuing. It's not quite to the level of Final Fantasy VI, but... now it's just a matter of doing about 4,000 damage to Magus and finishing the fight.
And ideally you only get 1 dark matter.
For anyone just tuning in now, Kiitoksia died to the Messamitic fight earlier. He was slightly under-leveled from a clutch save on the R-Series fight, but unfortunately Luca missed out on a couple levels of experience. Couple more. He's really close. I don't know if he's going to get the sub 150 or not.
Should just have a couple attacks, so probably not. Because we still have to wait until Magus kneels.
That should be it. Yeah. GG's, elmagus. crushing the game as usual. Final time of 1:50:21 in the SRL race room.
Very good run.
Yeah, that was an awesome run. The kind of times that you need to see in order to get to where he is in the tournament right now. So that's actually pushing him up to face the #1 seed and world record holder of many categories of this game, Red Slash.
I think you mean Fred Slash.
Right, Fred Slash. Sorry, my bad.
Oh, just kidding.
And Kiitoksia will actually face you
I know.
Elimination round 3.
I'm looking forward to that.
That's pretty exciting. All right, let's see. Do we have any other races scheduled? I know there's one scheduled for like a week from now.
Yeah, next week.
And that's one that's the elimination round 1, actually. So there's going to be a bunch of races directly after that, I believe. I think I just heard elmagus join us. GG's, my friends.
Hey, GG, I guess. I don't know.
Very good race.
Yeah.
Very good run, especially.
Yeah, 150 is a great time.
I mean, yeah. Like, it looks good on paper, I suppose.
That never-ending pursuit of perfection.
Like, I guess the second half of the run was alright. Like, I still made a couple minor mistakes there, but like the start, that just doesn't fly. Honestly, that was unacceptable. It's like more so I got owned by RNG too, but like I made so many mistakes that just made me really mad. And until honestly, like I haven't made this many small mistakes in a long time. I did get owned by the guard because like he was looking right and then turned around immediately, so I don't count that as a mistake. But other than that, I made so many mistakes. So I mean, I don't know what happened. I heard what happened to Keto now, which is really unfortunate. With me being under levels, so
yeah,
I was honestly afraid to lose this race after that start, but it kind of worked out, I guess.
It was really scary for a moment there. You both messed up on our series at the exact same time.
Yeah. What happened to me is like for my second cyclone, like I'm going over and I'm pressing A 3 times, but I don't enter the attack menu, and I'm kind of like, okay, I'm dead now, aren't I? It's like I don't know what the hell happened there, but. I mean, after that 5 slime fight, maybe I was on like some sort of special RNG where you have to press the button even harder than usual. I don't know, dude. That was really weird.
I think that's how that works. You guys had exactly opposite slime fights, position dependent as well.
Interesting.
Yeah, he was a little behind.
4 greens and 1 red.
Ah, fantastic. Great.
Which
I wonder how that feels.
It actually made him catch up to you because he was behind.
You don't say. Like, that feels so bad. I knew exactly that was going to happen too. Like, I called it in my chat. Like, I was like, I can't wait for the 1 city, and boom, there it was.
Was there anything that you really liked about your
I had an okay Magus castle. There were still a couple, small mistakes in there.
Yeah.
Roly push was 1 pixel off, I think, or maybe 2. So that's not too bad. And then my cat jumped me when I went into the first battle of the last gauntlet. You maybe saw the pause there. That was kind of funny.
And I could. You were checking your notes.
No, I couldn't hold X in time anymore, so that was kind of messed up. But I mean, that's fine, honestly. Like that just happened. That's just like collateral damage if you have pets, I suppose. I don't know. Like he jumped on my lap, and I was kind of like, okay, we got to stop this real quick. Oh yeah. Other than that, it was pretty decent castle for the most part. So I like that.
Awesome.
So your next race is against Fred Slash.
Yeah, I can't show up like this. Otherwise, I'm gonna get put into the dumpster, unfortunately. So I'm gonna go to the hyperbolic time chamber, try to improve, and then maybe have a chance. We'll see.
Train some more.
Yeah, I definitely can show up like this. I mean, 150 again looks good on paper, but it's not enough. It's just not enough.
And it looks like the loser of your next match also might have to face either Ottavino or El Gran Jerry coming up in the elimination bracket as well.
At this point in the tournament, honestly, whoever you get, it's going to be... You have to aim for sub 150 to win.
Yeah,
like...
It's true. That's a great way to think about it too.
Yeah, especially in the winner's bracket.
The loser's bracket is honestly more stacked right now. No offense to anybody in the winner's bracket still, but the loser's bracket is more stacked than the winner's bracket right now. So yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to actually watching a couple losers matches. I hope they schedule relatively soon.
Yeah, we should have everything caught up here by the end of about a week and a half, and yeah, there's really only 2 more rounds in the winners bracket before we're into the finals, and we still have about another dozen races or so altogether in the tournament. So yeah, there's a lot of exciting stuff coming up.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to add there, Elmagus?
Sorry to Quito. I actually didn't check IRC, so I didn't know he forfeited until like I got done. So, that was... I would have probably asked for a rematch or something, but I missed it. So rip for that. Cause like, a small mistake like that, especially after what happened to me too. I feel that. So yeah, I don't know. I feel that pretty badly. You can't go back on the strategy too. I mean, you technically can, but then you lose the race. So I don't know. But yeah, other than that, thanks for restreaming. Thanks for hosting Speed Gaming. Thanks to you guys for commentating. It was a pleasure, and I gotta go train to beat Fred Slash, I guess.
Fair enough, man. You have a good one, and thank you again. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, congratulations. Thanks everyone for watching as well. Thanks for the background stuff, for the help, setting everything up. And I guess that's it from us.
Yeah, stay tuned. Speed Gaming has a bunch of awesome video game races for your viewing pleasure.